Welcome to the Jerry Graves channel. This is the only channel that talks about mastering your flow, dealing with narcissists, psychopaths, ostracism, everything that you can think of, all in one. And without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into the topic. For one, this is about being the people's champ. Now, if you get bullied or people attack you openly, if people are attacking you openly, that's the one thing that you can always use against them, is because they're doing evil, and people aren't down with evil, not the average person. Now they that doesn't mean they're going to put their neck on the chopping block, or they fight for you, or stand with you, but deep down in their heart they know what's real, and there's no way to change that. So if you're getting attacked openly, you can always use the people's champ technique, which is just basically, you stand your ground, you outlast it, and then you use the energy that you get from those the regular people, the audience. That's, they have their own empathy, and you use that, you use their energy, because they're going to end up coming to your side, or at least admiring you, because they'll know that you didn't deserve it, and then they'll put themselves in that situation, just imagining how it feels to be you in this situation, and they know that it would have been tough. So they're admiring you because of your strength, and even your wit, like how you handle the abuse. If you can get out of it or get away from that situation, people admire that. So that's a technique that's always there anytime somebody attacks you openly and there's enough people around you. Now, if you're living with an abuser, that's not going to work, because not enough people. Now, so this technique is something that I use all the time, even though I didn't realize that that's what happens, or even recognize it directly until like recently. But if you're strong enough, like I said, people just start admiring you. And so here's an example. Like when I was in the Navy, I had a problem with I didn't know how to deal with injustice, and I still don't completely know how to do it. But I would be the person who would stand out and say something. And so, for one, I was always getting bullied. I was always the person, even in boot camp, that I'd get attacked by at least one of the instructors more than they would attack anybody else. Like you're that favorite person to attack, and try to embarrass and things like that. And I was over the top. I didn't know how to handle it, so I fed the situation a little bit, and then, things would get out of hand, and that was what it was. That's part of the reason why I would be attacked a lot. So, to make a long story short, when I first got into the military, this whole thing happened where I was just being bullied, and for a lot of different reasons, just being a target, easy target. And so I moved out of that division, not out of that division, out of that first work center, and they were trying to get me kicked out. So when I got to my next work center, I'm still in the same division, so all these people know each other who are in charge, but it's just a little bit easier, or at least it was supposed to be. Really wasn't. Everybody was like, oh, we know about you, we know what you've done, and now you're here and I'm going to bother you too. So same thing was going on, a bunch of bullying, people bothering me, talking trash and whatever, what have you. And eventually I lasted enough for it to die down, and I was having people coming to me like, dude, how do you deal with all of this? I would be enraged. Like how do you handle that? And I'm just like, I don't know. So eventually, when it dies down, people are just like, man, how you finally got an easy day. And I used to work in the gear at the time. They're like, in the gear, could you imagine? Like, I never would imagine you having an easy day in the gear. So it got to the point where everybody knew I was being bullied, and it died down. So I was chilling, and everything was cool. But that went on for a while, and what ended up happening was I would be talking to people, and all the people would have the same complaint. but nobody ever said anything, right? So they were like, they basically, what they would do is they would have all the black people clean all day, and they would have all the white people do the maintenance. And it had been going on like that for a long time. I wasn't really tripping because I knew I was going to not be working there for that long anyway. I was going to change to a whole different division and work somewhere else. So, but I kept hearing about it. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something. So I said it at muster, which is like a meeting that you have before work. And you have to stand in ranks and all this. So I brought it up. I was like, yo, why do you guys always do that? I just straight called him out. I was like, you guys should have some of the black people do the maintenance too. Now, and so they were like, oh, basically all the black people, none of them work hard. We need people that actually work hard to do the maintenance. And it was just, it got pretty ugly, but they changed it for like a week or so. Now, the importance of doing the maintenance isn't just because cleaning is mind-numbing and boring, and it's because people are trying to gain rank. And in the Navy and in the Air Force, I believe, you take written tests on so that you can, the higher you score, the more likely you are to get promoted. And you're working with the higher ups. You're working with the people that have more rank than you, so they get to evaluate you on a daily basis, and they end up giving people who did the maintenance higher scores, and they would get the reputation of, oh, they work hard, even though they're not giving everybody a chance to even do it, So while you're doing this written test, if you're working with because you're getting tested on the equipment that you're working on, or that you work with on a daily basis, so you actually just learn more. Imagine doing the same thing. You're learning all the parts, how it works. They're explaining it to you for 8 hours a day, versus you having to only learn about it through a book. Of course, the person who works on it and reads the book versus somebody who cleans and only reads the book, the person who gets the most hands-on experience is going to score better on the test and eventually get rank. They're going to get evaluated better, and they're just going to get ranked up. And it's normally all the white people that are in that situation, and all the black people, you don't get ranked up, and then eventually you're going to get kicked out. And that's what it comes down to. Like, you don't gain rank fast enough, they kick you out. So that's what was at stake. That's the reason why I said something, even though I was planning on getting out anyway, because I never planned on doing more than 4 years in the military. So I didn't really care about rank in the first place. But I was just doing it because for them, basically. So I said it, and I knew that I was going to put a target on my back. I shouldn't have said anything, but I did. And so it changed, and then they changed it back, and then nobody said anything after that. They could have kept on fighting about it. I could have kept on saying stuff about and trying to get them to change or do something, but it was kind of like they didn't care enough. So I was like, I'm not going to keep going. Because then that's going to put a real big target on my back, and I'm not going to do that. But that didn't matter because the target was there anyway. So then basically the chain of command starts bullying me again. They're just going down on my, just harassing and doing everything they can. And their plan is basically just get me kicked out right then and there. They didn't like the fact that I called them out on that. And they're like, we're going to get you kicked out. They didn't say that, but that's what they were trying to do. And so they had all these they'll give you it's basically it's crazy how they can do you. But they were about to try to get me kicked out, and they were maneuvering me into that position. And right before they were able to do it, I transferred out of the division. So I moved to a different division, and the people there didn't like that. So they all go to my next division, and they're all talking to them and saying, basically trying to slander me so that I can't survive there either. But for the moment, I looked pretty cool. I stood up I stood up against them, and then I got out of Dodge before they can harm me, you know. So now I'm looking like kind of like the people's champ. Like people are looking to me like, you know, we basically just admire you. You know, you're strong, you're smart, and they were coming to me like that. Like I'm just this legend. Not a legend because that's extreme, but people were looking up to me a little bit, like admiring me. So that's my point. That's my point. Is that it happens like that. It happens like that. You know, and people would say that to me, like, man, most of the people all had a bad opinion about you. Like, how do you do that? Like, man, I know I wouldn't be able to last like how you did, or and this and that. And they were saying it in a genuine way. They weren't like blowing smoke. It was like one of those private conversations, you know, we I admire you type thing, you know. So um basically, a long story short, I didn't like how I was treated by the people who were my like the people who were the same rank as me. So when they were coming to me like, you're the people's champ, I didn't like embrace that or whatever. Like, you know, I was just like, whatever, like, get it, you know, I'm in this new division, let me just focus on the people here. I'm not even gonna really talk to you guys or anything like that. So I just moved on. But the point still remains, and I've had this a lot. Like, and I know that if something happened like with me, like if I was able to become some type of entrepreneur and make something happen, right? I know that even like all the people in my town, even though a lot of the people hated me and would try to like bully me and all this type of stuff, I know that they would all get on board. Like I know that I would be like the people's champ to them. Same thing like with the military. Like I know all those people would still like, I would be the people's champ. And that's the thing. That's the thing that they can't take away from you. Like all these people, unless they completely kill you or destroy you, if you're able to make it out of that situation, you're always going to be the people's champ. Like people are going to admire you. And I think toxic people hate that. Like bullies, they hate that. You know, they're like, dang, this person, um I can't crush them. I can't crush their spirit, and they're always going to keep going, keep coming, and keep being strong. So why don't the people admire me? You know, I have all this power over this person, but how come they don't admire me? How come I'm not the people's champ? How come, you know what I mean? That's what they start to think. They get jealous about everything.